Okay, so we talking about 2024, guys. Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it. All right. So in 2024, parcel volumes reached an all-time high of 23.8 billion with a B, up 4% from the prior year and 50% since 2019. That's pre-COVID. All right. Parcel delivery revenues grew 4.1% to 188 billion, like we just talked about, right? With an average revenue of $8 per parcel. Sounds reasonable. $8 per parcel sounds reasonable. All right, so they estimate that U.S. parcel volume will grow at a compound annual rate of 4% over the next 3 years to 26.8 billion in 2027. However, most of that growth will be handled by private networks of Amazon, Walmart, and other retailers, resulting in a flat to negative growth for UPS, FedEx, and USPS. All right, let's break this down because what they're telling us is exactly what we need to know. Basically saying like, look, this industry is gonna grow no matter what. A 4% increase by 2027, which is a decent amount, right? But they're saying that most of that growth is going to be handled by private networks of Amazon, Walmart, and other retailers. So what's happening is Amazon, like we were saying before, they pretty much deliver, or they try to deliver, most of their stuff. Other stuff is still being outsourced to UPS and USPS. However, they try to manage delivering their packages. Walmart, I'm not sure if any of you have a Walmart Plus account. I actually get a discount on a Walmart Plus account, but I don't have it. I'm not a member, but I know you have seen the Walmart Plus trucks driving around in the vans or Sprinter vans or whatever. They real similar to the Amazon vans. And so you'll see the Walmart Plus, and they offer a lot of same day, next day, 2 day. And Walmart.com is very similar to Amazon. It's not just stuff that's sold at Walmart. It's other sellers as well that's on Walmart.com, that's selling on Walmart.com, who not even affiliated with Walmart. So let's go back to the candle store example. I have a candle store in downtown Houston, and I have a brick and mortar, and people come in and buy candles from me. So, I sell on Amazon as well. I have a storefront on Amazon. I could also go on Walmart.com and have a storefront. And I can sell on Walmart.com. So if you ever go on Walmart app, you search something, you could scroll forever because it's almost like an infinite amount of options, just like on Amazon. You'll scroll like 8 pages, like you still getting options. So because it's different sellers that's selling on Walmart.com. And so Amazon and Walmart has put pressure on mom and pops places over the years, as far as people having that convenient option just to pull up Amazon and say, oh, I could find it right here, and let me buy it instead of driving down the street and buy it locally, right? And so Walmart is pretty much doing the same thing. And other retailers like Target, I don't think they have their own delivery network. However, they are using DoorDash as an other carrier to get you the same day stuff or the next day or the 2 day, instead of putting those items in the UPS network or even in the FedEx network. They say, hey, look, you want the same day? All right, we'll have DoorDash come pick it up and we'll deliver it to you. Okay, as Target. So you have a lot of these big retailers, and I mean, a Best Buy to a lower degree as well. I've actually had a delivery from Best Buy. I told you guys on a previous live stream, it was a next day delivery, and it was delivered by, it wasn't DoorDash, it was another local carrier, but it wasn't one of the big four, right? And so I've also noticed that Best Buy have reduced a lot of their volume in the UPS network because they have a lot of smaller carriers are taking those deliveries and getting those deliveries delivered. So Walmart, you have Amazon, you have Target, you have Macy's, You have Best Buy, just to name a few. I'm sure there's a lot other bigger companies that are pulling back volume, giving it to FedEx and UPS and letting local delivery companies deliver those items. And so, like, that's a big deal. And so if we want to talk about the automation, if we want to talk about 12% decrease in volume from last year, if we want to talk about all of those types of things, we have to look at the market share. This article right here and this information we're talking about tonight, this give us a full idea, mostly full idea of what is going on. And so if you have smaller facilities in like rural areas, volume is already going down. I mean, it's hard for those facilities to stay open and to stay profitable. And that's just the way it is, because once volumes start to decrease, you got to start holding on to whatever you can hold on to and try to be as efficient as possible. And so when we talked about this a few weeks ago, we talked about facilities closing, right? We talked about automation. We talked about trying to hold on to customers. We talked about, and I said this on a live, I said, look, UPS, they need to go and sweet talk these customers just to make sure, like, look, we trying our best, but how can we make our service better, right? How can we win you over for the next, 10, 15, 20 years? How can we get more of your business? And I'm not saying these conversations are not being had, but this is what needs to happen. First, you got to hold on to the customers we do have. Don't lose any more to everybody else. And, you got to treat people nice. You have to offer great customer service. I'm not a fan of the 1-800 number and stuff like that. And a lot of people aren't. It's not a good product, but that's with most companies, right? But you have to offer great customer service, and the customer experience, it should not be forgotten. I'm not saying it is forgotten, but you got to hold on to people at this point. And you got to hold on to the masses at this point, because the customer matters. Because if it's not for the customer, then you know what? Nobody's shipping anything. Straight up. All right, let's keep going. All right, so the annual parcel volume, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a pretty decent incline from 24 to 27. A much larger increase in those 3 years than from 20 to 23. Okay, so they said FedEx and UPS, they face keen competition in the parcel shipping from Amazon Logistics, Walmart, and Target, as well as smaller independent carriers such as OnTrack. I don't know, you ever heard of OnTrack? I might have had it delivered from OnTrack before. I can't remember. Anybody heard of OnTrack? Better Trucks? Never heard of Better Trucks until now. Jitsu? Anybody heard of Jitsu? It sounds like it's Asian-based company. Viho? Never heard of Viho either. SpeedX and Uni. I think I might have heard of OnTrack just because I think I had a delivery from them before, but haven't heard any of these other companies. The growth of the volume among companies that are or were the largest customers of FedEx, UPS, and USPS is the most dramatic market development in recent years and poses an ongoing risk to legacy carriers. As we know, Amazon dropped FedEx as a carrier 5 years ago. We talked about that 2 years ago. And UPS said in January it would slash volumes and handles Amazon by 50%. We talked about that, of course, on a few videos over the next 18 months as it focuses on higher yield freight. We talked about that, the higher yield freight, pretty much getting rid of more or less the cheaper freight volume and then get something that's more expensive and high yield in freight. I mean, I get it, but are they going to be able to execute on that? We'll see. Oh man, it said Amazon delivered 6.1 billion packages last year. That's crazy. compared to 1.7 billion in 2019. Y'all see that? It's a big difference. Other carriers led by Walmart saw growth jump 44% year over year to 2.3 billion packages. The number of shipments for this cohort has nearly quadrupled from 600 million in 2019. UPS parcel volume of 4.8 billion was flat year over year. And FedEx recorded a marginal decrease to 3.4 billion packages. So all of this is just telling you one thing, well, maybe two things. One, and we talked about this months ago, industry-wide volume is going down. It's being diverted to smaller carriers, and companies or big retailers are using smaller carriers because they are cheaper. And another thing that they're doing, and a lot of you probably already know this, if I buy from, let's say, Target.com, I get on the app and I order something from Target, and they have it at a local store, they'll just get a local carrier to get it from the local store to deliver it to my house, versus letting UPS or FedEx pick it up and it goes through their system and gets delivered to my house, when they could have just got a local carrier and they'll charge them, I don't know, $8 to deliver it, right? So that's what's going on. So if somebody in Missouri is going to order something off of Walmart, they're going to try to find the closest Walmart to that person in Missouri that has it, so they can get it to them for the cheapest. And I mean, I'm not mad at that. It's just everybody crunching, everybody trying to be efficient, everybody looking at the numbers, everybody trying to save money, everybody trying to cut. I get it, but this is the reality. And let me tell you guys, this is not going to reverse. This is not going the other way. They telling you right now the increase in volume in the next 3 years, but it's not going to go the other way. And you're not going to all of a sudden see UPS or FedEx just all of a sudden get all of this volume. Yeah, they might have some growth. I'm not saying it's going to be zero growth, but it's going to be flat.